After my rebirth, I decided to stop obsessing over my childhood friend, Jizashing, when he put up a no dogs or my name allowed sign for his birthday party. I booked a trip to Hawaii to get as far away from him as possible. He said the very smell of me in his house made him sick, so I obediently packed up and moved out. Then he said he didn't want to breathe the same city air as me after graduation, so I made myself scarce and never looked back. In the end, he said my very presence might lead to misunderstandings with his cherished one. I nodded, and before long, I made a public announcement with someone else. Time and again, I made the opposite choices from my past life, all because in that previous life, after I finally married Jizashing, his true love leaped from a cliff to her death. He accused me of being the murderer, tortured me, abused me, and ultimately left me to be fish food. This time, I just want to live a good life. Later, I started a new relationship with another man, but Jizashing blocked my path, his eyes blazing with fury. Zhou, if you come with me right now, I'll forgive you for that joke. 1. Zhou and dogs are not permitted to enter. Seeing that familiar sign at the entrance, I was moved to tears of joy. Zhou is my name, and right now, it's being dragged through the mud alongside of dogs. But no one knows just how thrilled I am. Because I've been reborn, I've returned to the day of my fiancé. Jizashing's birthday. In everyone's eyes, I'm not good enough for Jizashing. In both family background and looks, we were worlds apart. He was the crown prince of the Ji family in Jiangqing, while I was an orphan with no father or mother. A mere childhood jest bound us together for over 20 years. Everyone felt sorry for Jizashing. So is he. That's why he put up a sign at the door, keeping me, all dressed up and ready to go, locked out. Zhou, it's not that we won't let you in. It's Brother Ji's orders. Be reasonable and don't make this difficult for us. It'll only make you look bad. Jizashing's close friend stood at the door, his face cold as he delivered the message. Security personnel armed with batons flanked both sides. This whole heavily guarded spectacle was, in fact, meant for me. Everyone knew Jizashing despised me to the core. In my past life, I was also denied entry to the banquet. Like a loyal dog, I waited at the door from dawn till dusk. I later collapsed from a high fever after catching a chill. When the Ji family learned of this, they reprimanded Jizashing and pushed forward with the marriage arrangement. On their wedding day, Jizashing's beloved white moonlight leapt to her death from a cliff. In the eyes of Jizashing and his inner circle, I am the murderer. Jizashing sought revenge for his white moonlight. For years, he subjected me to emotional abuse, physical torment, and relentless psychological torture. I've asked for a divorce countless times, and every single request has been denied. Jizashing snarled that he'd rather drag it out and wear me down to death. That feeling of being ignored, overlooked, and treated as if I were invisible, I endured it firsthand for 20 years. In my final descent into madness, I threw myself into the sea, ending up as food for the fish. The bitter irony is, that was my final, lingering moment in this world. I saw Fu Yuanyuan make a grand return to the country and reunite with Jizashing. She wasn't dead, she was alive and well, having become a world-renowned, celebrated designer. The world blessed her and Jizashing's long-awaited, deeply passionate love. From start to finish, I was the only one who got the short end of the stick. Let's do this over. I'm going to live my life well, and I'm going to stay far away from Jizashing, too. I turned and walked away under countless astonished gazes. Without a shred of regret, back at the Ji residence, I shed the cumbersome formal gown. Everyone knows I'm Jizashing's devoted follower. When it comes to anything concerning Jizashing, I always think 10 steps ahead, then I arrange everything for him, down to the last detail. Jizashing had mentioned more than once that work was exhausting and he needed a break, so, coordinating with his work schedule, I planned a trip to Hawaii for him, because he had said he missed the beaches and the ocean there. However, in his previous life, Jizashing hadn't agreed to the trip to Hawaii either. Instead, he chose to go mountain climbing and camping with Fu Yuanyuan. I was ordered to tag along. In the pouring rain, Jizashing made me go retrieve Fu Yuanyuan's bracelet. I ended up tumbling down a cliff and breaking my leg. I was stuck in the hospital for a full 2 months. That feeling of life hitting rock bottom is something I never want to experience again. Keeping my distance from Jizashing was the first step. I quickly packed my bags and went downstairs with my documents. Coincidentally, Jizashing came running in, dressed in a formal suit. When he saw me, he suddenly sneered, snatched my luggage, and threw it aside. I frowned and asked, "What are you doing, Zhou? I should be asking you the same thing. How old are you? Still pulling this running away from home stunt? What's next? Are you going to leave a suicide note?" Jizi's panted heavily, his face twisted in disgust as he hurled the accusation. "Zhou, are you that childish, trying to threaten me with suicide again?" I patted the grimy suitcase and retorted, enunciating each word deliberately, who told you I was going to kill myself? People like him and Fu Yuanyuan, a heartless wolf and an ungrateful dog, are living just fine. I've been given a second chance at life. Why on earth would I kill myself? Jizisheng gave a cold sneer, saying nothing. His eyes filled with utter disdain. Fu Yuanyuan, who had followed closely behind him, began to speak slowly. Peipei, if you wanted to come to the birthday party, you could have just talked to Zisheng properly. You two grew up together like siblings. Why would he ever turn you away? Pulling the suicide card might work once, but try it twice and it's just crying wolf. Fu Yuanyuan's words were loaded with implication. The look in Jizisheng's eyes when he glanced at me grew increasingly full of disgust. My thoughts are a jumbled mess. Something suddenly occurred to me. Back in high school, after Jizisheng and Fu Yuanyuan started dating, it was as if he had become a completely different person towards me. In a fit of anger, I left a message saying I was going to find a place to jump into the river. This terrified Uncle Ji and Auntie Fong. They ordered Jizisheng to break up with Fu Yuanyuan. From then on, Jizisheng despised me, gave me the cold shoulder, and refused to communicate with me. Fu Yuanyuan and her little clique ostracized and bullied me, and he turned a blind eye to it all. I looked Jizisheng straight in the eye and explained, "You're overthinking this. I wasn't planning to kill myself. I was packing to catch a flight to Hawaii." Jizisheng scoffed, laughing at my pathetic attempt to save face with such a flimsy excuse. Fu Yuanyuan tugged at Jizisheng's sleeve. "Asheng, why don't we let Peipei join us? It's kind of sad to leave her out like this." Jizisheng frowned, on the verge of relenting. I declined again. "No need, I'm going to Hawaii." Jizisheng's handsome face shifted, and he scoffed. "See, she's going to Hawaii. Peipei, now is not the time for this nonsense." Fu Yuanyuan sighed and stepped forward to link her arm with mine. Her sharp acrylic nails dug deep into my flesh, unseen by anyone else. The pain made me shove her away. Fu Yuanyuan lay on the ground, cradling her hand with a fragile, pitiable air. Her eyes were wide with disbelief as she stared at me, her lips trembling. "Peipei, you, 3, Zhou Pei, you're asking for it." Jizisheng reacted with intense agitation, shoving me to the ground with even greater force. The back of my head slammed hard against the step, the sharp pain making my vision swim. I listened to Jizisheng's words, shouted in loud rebuke. "Zhou Pei, have you developed a taste for bullying people? Being around an ungrateful wretch like you makes the very air in this house feel tainted. It disgusts me." Biting back the pain, I spoke up to stop his increasingly vile words. "I'll move out, you can rest assured. You'd better mean it." All of Jizisheng's fury was trapped in his throat. He glared at me with a deathly stare, then finally picked up Fu Yuanyuan and turned to leave. As I touched the sticky blood on the back of my head, a thought inexplicably came to me. When I was 15, my relationship with Jizisheng was nowhere near as strained as it is now. I knew from an early age about our arranged marriage, that we were destined to become family, so I always stuck to him like glue. When he rebelled and snuck off to sketchy, unlicensed internet cafes to game, I followed. Later, he got into a dispute with someone over a game. I tried to break up the fight, but got caught in the crossfire and accidentally cut my finger. In that instant, Jizisheng was like a ferocious beast. He pummeled the much larger man until he was crying and begging for mercy. Yet, this was the same man who used to get so worried if I so much as nicked my finger. Now, people will hurt me without a second thought, cursing me for having a death wish, but it doesn't matter anymore. Once Uncle Ji and Aunt Fong arrive, the engagement between me and Jizisheng can be called off. I looked at the servant beside me and forced a weak smile. "Could you take me to the hospital? I can pay you." The new young maid was itching to make a move, but before she could get close, the old man yanked her back. Their deliberately hushed conversation still managed to reach my ears. "Are you trying to get yourself killed? Don't you know how much the young master despises Miss Zhou? If he sees this, you'll lose your job for sure." The young maid was terrified. She gave me one last look before running off. I shook my head with a bitter smile, crawling to the corner to pick up my shattered phone. Uncle Ji and Aunt Fong are away from home almost all year round. They're only home for 3 or 4 days a month. Jizisheng is the sole master of this house. As he has stated more than once, I'm not a member of the Ji family. I'll handle my own affairs, so. Everyone kept their distance from me. Every time I came home, the leftovers had been dumped into the trash and the bag tied up. The plates on the table were empty. Luckily, I was already used to it. I dragged myself to the hospital. The doctor said I had a concussion. They wanted to keep me in for observation for a couple of days. After being discharged, I went back to the G residence to pack my things. The servants watched with cold indifference as I struggled through the clumsy motions alone. That afternoon, I packed up all my belongings and moved them into a hastily rented apartment. this was just a temporary place to stay. I would stay here until I received my diploma, secured a job offer, and called off the engagement. Then I can leave all of this behind. The third day after leaving the G household, Jisashing called, his voice slurred with drink. Where did you go? Private room A12, come here. I was busy working on my resume and got interrupted, which annoyed me for a moment. Jisashing, what is it? The person on the other end of the line seemed to fall silent. The usual hubbub around me had quieted down considerably. I said hello again, but hearing no reply, I got ready to hang up. Jisashing spoke up suddenly. Zhou Pei, where have you gone? I started typing again, set my phone aside, and said offhandedly, didn't you say the very air in the house made you sick when you lived with me? That's why I moved out. Don't worry, I won't be coming back. The man's breathing grew heavier, and he suddenly let out a cold laugh. Zhou Pei, since when did you become so obedient? Wasn't it you who was pestering me relentlessly before? If you're really that obedient, then I'm telling you to leave this city and get out of my sight. Can you actually do it? Zhou Pei, I don't care what game you're playing. If you keep targeting Yuan, you'll regret it. The mouse was a bit tricky to handle, and I just stared at the screen. It took me a moment to process what Jisashing had said. Jisashing's voice cut through, laced with sarcasm. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue. Don't you get tired of playing these little games every single day? Apologize to Yuan, and I'll allow you to crawl back, I said slowly. Fine, I promise you, Jisashing, I'll leave. With that, I hung up the phone without waiting for your reaction. 4. I've received my diploma. I've been getting quite a few responses to the resumes I sent out. The offer I'm most satisfied with is from a major tech company in the neighboring city. I immediately scheduled an interview. Landing a job was my greatest wish in a past life. I was incredibly nervous, but thankfully, the company called just before I boarded the train. I got the job. I was on the high-speed train, eagerly searching for the perfect apartment. The thought of putting some distance between Jisashing and me filled me with excitement. I had just stepped out of the station, then my phone rang. It was Jisashing. The moment the call connected, his brusque voice came through. Zhou Pei, where are you? My good mood instantly vanished, doused like a bucket of cold water. What do you want? Jisashing's voice grew even colder. My parents are back. They want you to come home for dinner. It was already dusk by the time they returned to the G residence. 4 people were seated at the dining table, Mr. and Mrs. G. Jisashing and Fu Yuan. The expression on each of their faces was far from pleasant. I suppose something must have happened while I was away. I walked in without a change in my expression. Jisashing's gaze swept over my face, and for some reason, he put down his chopsticks and went upstairs. I'm done eating. I've had enough. Fu Yuan chased after him up the stairs. I went and sat down next to Uncle Ji and Aunt Fong. The two of them awkwardly made excuses for Jisashing. I looked earnestly at the 2 elders before me, who were like parents to me. In my past life, they learned I was imprisoned by Jisashing and tried to rescue me, but the Ji family was already under Jisashing's control. There was little they could actually do to help. I don't blame them, I only blame my own foolishness. I began softly, Uncle Ji. Aunt Fong, I've been thinking a lot these past few days. Zishing and I aren't right for each other. He doesn't have feelings for me, and I don't have feelings for him. Rather than forcing a miserable marriage, it's better to set each other free. Let's call off the engagement. Aunt Fong's face froze completely, her eyes glistening with tears. Do we really have to go this far? I nodded firmly. I had finally settled the matter that had weighed most heavily on my mind since my rebirth. A profound sense of relief washed over me. Before leaving, I returned to my room, intending to retrieve something I had left behind last time. Fu Yuan blocked my path. Zhou Pei, can you give Aixing back to me? I'm carrying his child. A child shouldn't grow up without a father. Her eyes were red and brimming with pitiful sorrow. I frowned and instinctively took a step back. Fu Yuan gave a strange smile, then grabbed my hand and shoved it hard against herself. Pei, don't push me. My baby, it hurts. Fu Yuan tumbled down the stairs, bright red blood flowing from between her legs. Jisashing rushed out of the study, his face contorted with rage at the sight. He raised his hand and slapped me. Zhou Pei, you're absolutely despicable. I used to think people were exaggerating when they said you were a bully, but now I've seen it with my own eyes. What possible excuse could you have? If it weren't for you, Yuan and I wouldn't have broken up. Why do you always have to get in our way? Uncle Ji and Aunt Fong came out of the room. Seeing this, Fu Yuan clutched her stomach and wailed even louder. Jisashing demanded bitterly, look, Mom and Dad, this is the wife you chose for me. After the excruciating pain, my vision blurred and my ears rang. Jisashing's face was a mask of grief and indignation, as if he had been betrayed by the whole world. Without a second thought, I slapped him twice. Don't worry, that ends today. 5. Jesusing. I've had enough of you. Jesusing was stunned, utterly disbelieving. I rubbed my hands. I gave a nod to the two elders standing at the door, their expressions unreadable. Uncle, Auntie, I have to get going. I didn't care how the two of them reacted and just walked straight out. Once outside, I collapsed by the side of the road. Jesusing must have put all his strength into that hit. A wave of numb pain spread across my cheek. I should have taken the chance to slap him a couple more times. Jesusing has always been like this. Whenever something happens, he never takes my side. All he ever does is blame me. Fu Yuanyuan loves to play the victim and is always up to her little schemes. I went through hell back in high school. Fu Yuanyuan was locked in the bathroom, crying for help. I was the one who got her out. She immediately threw herself into Jesusing's arms, implying that I was the one who locked her in. I was left speechless, because Jesusing would never believe me, so eventually, I just stopped trying to explain. In the end, I was blamed for more and more things. Hey, are you okay? Do you need me to take you to the hospital? I squinted and looked up. A man dressed all in black clothes, black pants, a black hat, and a black mask, was standing beside me. An outfit like that usually means one of two things: a celebrity trying to avoid the paparazzi, or a total creep. I was about to shake my head, but then I pitched forward and blacked out. I came to again. I was staring at the familiar white ceiling of a hospital room. The sharp, unpleasant smell of antiseptic filled my nose. There was also a man in black, leaning over the bedside, a head of golden curls peeking out. I stared at that head of brilliant, fluffy curls. I couldn't resist reaching out and giving it a stroke. The texture was absolutely divine. He woke up almost the moment I moved, the instant our eyes met. His face flushed red, and he hurriedly fumbled to put his mask back on. But that one glance was enough. I still recognized that rather famous face, the center of a certain popular boy band. I was just about to speak when my phone suddenly rang. It was that damn Jesusing again, fighting back a wave of disgust. I answered the call. Jesusing's voice was unmistakably weary and hoarse. Zhou Pei, Yuanyuan had a miscarriage. My baby is gone. That was my first child. How could you be so cruel? The man was grieving in anguish on the other end of the line. While I remained expressionless on my side, Jesusing, you could actually ask your parents to call off the engagement. This isn't difficult. Our marriage is just a verbal agreement, a simple word, that's all it is. Why won't you do it? It's because you want to have your cake and eat it too. And then you complain that the cake doesn't just jump onto your plate. Have I been such a devoted doormat for over a decade that you just can't bear to let go? And another thing, Jesusing, you really have no brains at all. I hung up the phone, my chest heaving. The young man beside me quietly urged me not to be angry. The doctor's examination showed you have injuries on your face. If you've experienced violence, I can refer you to a lawyer. I looked at him, dressed all in black with a mask on, yet his eyes had the gentle, vulnerable look of a puppy. I gave a slight, wry smile and lowered my gaze. There is something I need your help with, actually. 6. Didn't Jesusing say my very existence was getting in the way of his perfect little love story with Fu Yuanyuan? Fine. That same day, I posted a picture of two hands clasped together. A man's large, slender, pale hand with distinct knuckles was gripping mine tightly, form a heart shape. The caption is especially blunt and direct. Official announcement. The moment it was posted on my feed, the comments section blew up. What's going on? That doesn't look like our Xingji's hand. Zhou Pei, what are you doing? You'd better delete this. Jesusing's whole crew of troublemakers showed up. I was delighted to see it, satisfied. I put my phone down. I recognize you. You're that super popular idol, the center of that boy band, Songguan. Right. The man waved his hand sheepishly. Our group has disbanded, and I'm not the center anymore. Just from spending a little time with him, I could already get a sense of his general personality. All bundled up like that. Could be a celebrity. Could be a creep, or maybe just socially awkward. I smiled at him and said, thanks for helping me out twice. If you don't mind, let me buy you a meal. The man looked hesitant. I added, if you're busy now, we can reschedule for another day. I arranged to have dinner with Songguan the day after tomorrow, which would also be my last day in Jiangqing. My belongings had been shipped to Haicheng one after another over the past few days, with just 2 small suitcases left. I decided to take them over. Ever since I made the official announcement on my social media, Jesusing started calling me like a madman. I blocked him without a second thought. So he just started calling from different numbers. I started thinking about changing my number. Later, I accidentally answered the call, and Jesusing's barrage of accusations came pouring through. Zhou Pei, what the hell is going on? Are you cheating on me? Zhou Pei, how come I never realized you were this capable before? I suppressed my impatience with great effort. Ever since I came to my senses, Ever since I stopped having feelings for Jisashing, I realized Jisashing didn't have a single redeeming quality and was particularly foolish. Jisashing, I'm rarely this harsh, but you genuinely make me sick, so it's a case of the magistrates are free to burn down houses, while the common people are forbidden even to light lamps. Is it, you and Fu Yuanyuan got someone pregnant, but when I simply post a relationship status on my social media, your friends all jump in to defend your honor, and you curse me out. What am I, Zhou Pei, your pet? Or did your Ji family buy me outright? Jisashing, why don't you go ask your parents? You and I called off our engagement ages ago. I'm single now. I have absolutely nothing to do with you. Whether you and Fu Yuanyuan are in love or at each other's throats, it's none of my business. Jisashing was incredulous. You, what did you just say? Call off the engagement? No, I won't allow it. Jisashing's voice was so vehement and final that it gave me pause on the other end of the line. Snapping back to my senses, I fired right back. Frankly, your opinion doesn't matter. We never had an engagement party, and you never publicly acknowledged me as your fiancé. In fact, you were always seen with Fu Yuanyuan. Everyone knew you two were the real couple. To be honest, whether you agree or not is completely irrelevant. 7. After that day, Uncle Ji and Aunt Feng called me one after the other. The two elders asked if I wanted to go back. I flatly refused. That place, I barely managed to escape from it. How could I possibly go back? The day I was meeting Songguan for dinner, he was, as usual, decked out in his full gear. I could understand why. He really stood out in a crowd. I had specifically reserved a private room. Just my luck. I ran into that scumbag Jisashing again. He rushed over and grabbed my hand. Zhou Pei, you actually betrayed me. I thought you were joking. I can't believe you're out having dinner with this guy. Who is he? Jisashing. Do you think you're acting in some cheesy CEO drama? I couldn't help it. I rolled my eyes and then pinched the flesh of Jisashing's forearm hard. As soon as he let go, I quickly shielded Songguan and backed away. Jisashing has some serious anger issues. He flies off the handle at the slightest provocation. He smashed my luggage for no reason before, completely wrecking the suitcase. Jisashing looked hurt. Zhou Pei, you're taking his side. I was speechless. You think I'd defend him over a scumbag like you? Just get lost, will you? You're constantly picking fights. Don't you ever get tired of it? We called off the engagement ourselves. You and I are done, Jisashing said through gritted teeth. Zhou Pei, I won't let you leave. You took my child from me. You owe me one. What absolutely insane language. For a moment, I thought I'd misheard. Jisashing, if there's something wrong with your head, go see a doctor. Is that massive surveillance system in your Ji family just for show? Fu Yuanyuan fell all by herself. Don't you dare pin this on me, Zhou Pei. At this point, I shot Jisashing a look that was half a smile, half a smirk. In those palace intrigue dramas, this trick is used not just to frame others, but to get rid of one's own problems. For the sake of our many years of acquaintance, Jisashing, I advise you to take a closer look at the person sharing your bed, in her previous life. Fu Yuanyuan faked her death and returned to the country in glory 30 years later. She married an 84-year-old wealthy man abroad. Not long after, the old man died, and she then got involved with his son. The reason she gave up that comfortable life to come back was that she had gotten involved with too many people over there and was discovered by someone's spouse. I can't stay here any longer. A woman that calculating. I refused to believe she would use Jisashing's own flesh and blood to frame me, just to frame me. I watched as Jisashing's face filled with shock. I let out a scoff, the very same kind he always used. I thought I was finally free to leave this time, but Jisashing took a large stride, blocking my path. His eyes were bloodshot and brimming with tears. Zhou Pei, if you come with me right now, I'll forgive you for that joke. I shot him a look of utter disdain. Jisashing, are you out of your mind? You need to get your head checked. I brushed past him and left with Songguan. The feng shui here is terrible. We run into someone I can't stand the moment we arrive. Let me take you somewhere else. Songguan obediently agreed. 8. An acquaintance sent me a link, hinting that I should go take a look. Only after clicking it did I find out that Fu Yuanyuan was actually live streaming from a hospital. She wailed and sobbed, accusing me outright of causing her miscarriage. Playing the victim is her specialty, combined with the hospital setting and the medical diagnosis. It was all too easy for people to believe her. Fu Yuanyuan incited online users to cyberbully me, adding me on WeChat and calling me. In an instant, all my social media platforms were completely overrun. Every time I opened my phone, it was flooded with vile abuse. Even former classmates, whether I knew them or not, jumped in to chase clout. I was so angry I laughed. I called the police immediately. Then phoned Jisashing. I demanded he hand over the surveillance footage, but for all my planning, I never could have anticipated that Jizashing would be this despicable. Zhou Pei, if you want to clear your name, fine, the footage is at home, just come back to me, and I'll give it to you. I've seen Fu Yuanyuan for who she really is, I'm done with her. Zhou Pei, from now on, I'm yours, I'm about to be sick. The recording was good enough, so I just hung up, this time. I also went live and publicly refuted Fu Yuanyuan's accusations. As for those who took the opportunity to slander me, I'm suing them directly. Jizashing's statement is proof enough that Fu Yuanyuan is not simply a victim. In fact, she's not a victim at all. Thoughtful netizens began to analyze the situation. There was also a crowd of onlookers demanding that Jizashing release the surveillance footage. Under public pressure, Uncle Ji and Aunt Fong pressured Jizashing to produce the surveillance footage. The Fu Yuanyuan miscarriage incident has completely turned around. Rumor has it that Fu Yuanyuan even signed a contract and is getting ready to make her debut. I'm completely wiped out. Because of the false accusation, I requested a later start date, fortunately. The new company was very understanding and even suggested I consult with their in-house legal team to file a lawsuit. After joining the new company, I changed my phone number. Then, I deleted all the friends connected to Jizashing. More than half a year later, I passed through Jiangqing on a business trip with my boss. I had intended to visit the Ji family, but with time being tight, I had to let it go. Yet in the blink of an eye, I ran into a friend of Jizashing's. I didn't have a strong impression of him. He recognized me right away and greeted me warmly. Hey, have you been in touch with Jizashing lately? Seeing he was practically bursting to talk, I just shook my head. He immediately said, after that whole mess, with debts in the millions, Fu Yuanyuan went running to brother Xing. In the end, he did cover the debt for her, but she just couldn't stay out of trouble. Brother Ji had people look into things again, and they actually dug something up. We all thought Fu Yuanyuan and brother Ji were a mutual thing, and it was only because of you that, anyway, that's not the point. The point is, Fu Yuanyuan is trouble. She's absolutely shameless. She went through all of Jizashing's closest friends and brothers, at least 5 of them, 5 guys wearing horns. And that child she falsely accused you of harming wasn't even brother Ji's to begin with. You have no idea how widely this story has spread in Jiangqing. Fu Yuanyuan is infamous now. Everyone says she's desperate to marry into a wealthy family. Later, brother Ji couldn't swallow the insult, so he sued her to get his money back. Now Fu Yuanyuan owes at least 10 million and is on the hunt for a sugar daddy. Brother Ji isn't having it easy either. He got into a fight with his old buddies, and it was a total bloodbath where everyone lost. The Ji family isn't doing so well these days. I had no idea things were so complicated behind the scenes. Still, Jizashing had it coming. The day I left Jiangqing, Jizashing was waiting at the hotel entrance. He was absolutely determined to see me. My boss and I were escorted through the VIP channel by hotel staff. We made it to the flight just in time. As I stepped into the house, I was greeted by the warm, inviting aroma of a home-cooked meal. Hearing the sound, a man came rushing out, wearing a girl's floral-patterned apron. You're home. I've drawn a bath for you. Go ahead and freshen up. Dinner will be ready when you're out. This is what happiness looks like, made tangible. I wrapped my arms tightly around Songguan. You're here so early today. No schedule. Songguan explained in a low voice. My agent says it's time for a career shift. He's landed me a film script and wants me to focus on training and staying out of the public eye for a while. My eyes lit up, and I leaned in to give him a playful nip. In that case, you're free for the rest of the day. I wrapped my arms around his neck and commanded, carry me inside, hurry up. 9. Songguan and I didn't originally want to go public so quickly. He had previously considered leaving the industry. The company managed to talk him into staying, and he ended up signing another 3-year contract. After his successful career pivot, the reception was positive, and he now exclusively takes on film roles. His fame continues to grow, to the point where even going out on a date now requires sneaking around. Specifically at night, Songguan couldn't take it anymore. He rushed to propose to me with a ring he designed himself, so, I said yes. Zhou Pei. I turned my head instinctively. When I saw who the voice belonged to, my face fell in disgust. Jizashing stepped closer, emerging from the darkness one deliberate step at a time. His eyes were fixed on me, the rims growing redder and redder. I frowned. Jizashing, who gave you my address? Jizashing spoke softly. I had someone look into it. Zhou Pei. Don't be afraid, I just wanted to talk to you. I felt Songguan's grip on my hand tighten. I gave him a pat, signaling for him to go on ahead. Songguan left, looking back every few steps. I was utterly amused. Jizashing sniffled, his voice tinged with a sob. Zhou Pei, are you alright? My expression turned completely cold as I spoke the blunt truth. If not for your interruption, tonight would have been a pleasant one. Jizashing started looking at me with that strange expression again. It was as if he was looking through me, searching for something. My scalp is crawling. Jizashing, what is it you actually want? Jizashing shook his head. My parents miss you. They've been talking about you nonstop. I heard from Xiaopeng that he'd seen you, so I had someone look into it. It's nothing else. I just wanted to see you. Just wanted to see how you're doing. I haven't let my guard down. These days, the news is full of stories about ex-boyfriends stabbing their ex-girlfriends. Well, now you've seen for yourself, I'm doing just fine. Please tell your parents to take good care of themselves. I'll go see them soon. With that, I turned to leave. I saw Songguan's bored figure under the tree. I quickened my pace and ran over. Sorry to keep you waiting. Let's go. Side story. Jizashing. I have been reborn. I was back at the age of 26. I was overjoyed, but when I ran outside, I found my home had changed. The villa was gone, and so was any trace of Zhou Pei. No one lived there anymore. I searched frantically everywhere, but no matter how hard I looked, I couldn't find her. Mom, Dad, where's Zhou Pei? Where did she go? My parents' temples had grown much grayer, looking even more aged than in my past life. My mother gave me a cool, detached glance. Why are you looking for her? Wasn't it you who drove her away in the first place? Stop thinking about Pei Pei. You're the one who wronged her. She'll never forgive you. All the joy I felt just moments ago evaporated into nothingness. It felt as if my heart had been scooped out and scraped clean with a shovel, leaving behind nothing but a hollow, chilling void. Under my persistent questioning, my parents told me everything, revealing all that I had done in this lifetime. From the very start of the birthday, Zhou Pei seemed different. I suspect she might have been reborn as well. At this moment, I felt a surge of vitality once more. Pei Pei, like me, has been reborn. Perhaps she can understand me. I began to search for any trace of Pei Pei, but I had hurt her too deeply. I couldn't find any information about him. Luck just wasn't on my side. 6 months later, I ran into an old friend by chance. I am no longer the aloof, high and mighty Mr. G I once was. Things at home aren't as good as they used to be. I waved to an old friend. They told me they had seen Zhou Pei. It turns out she was in the next city over. I tidied myself up, got cleaned up, and went to Zhou Pei's home. But what I saw was her, hand in hand with a man, taking an intimate stroll. In that moment, I knew my chances were probably gone. Zhou Pei already had someone new by her side. I just couldn't accept it. If this was my fate, then why did fate even give me a second chance? I called out Zhou Pei's name. She walked towards me. She looked deeply unhappy. I asked her how she was doing. She said she was doing fine. That's good. At least she's still alive. And, story 2, the day my husband won the gold medal, he and Yang Zhini died in a car accident. They were found with their hands tightly clasped. When I opened his blood-stained phone, it was filled with pictures of Yang Zhini. The compositions weren't perfect, but every frame was overflowing with love. Netizens all say, Lu Kai's first love story is tragically beautiful and utterly captivating. At the funeral, I broke down sobbing. In my dazed and confused state, I was stabbed to death by a knife-wielding assailant. When I opened my eyes again, I let him burn bridges with his family and watched coldly as his own mistakes cost him his dream. Later, he came through the rain in a wheelchair, pleading with me in utter despair. Choo-choo. Please don't leave me behind. 1. Congratulations to our gold medalist, Lu Kai. On the television, my husband stood on the podium, holding the figure skating championship trophy, basking in the cheers of the nation. At that moment, I was moved to tears of joy. His dream had finally come true. Lu Kai, what has been the belief that has sustained you on this journey all these years? A reporter asked a question. Lu Kai took the microphone, his trembling hands betraying his nervousness. Today, I want to thank someone. When my family kept doubting me, she was the one who stayed by my side. She was the one who gave me the strength to keep going. My heart trembled. The reporter teased. Oh, I heard Lu Kai married young. The person you're talking about must be your wife, right? Lu Kai didn't answer. Instead, his gaze, brimming with affection, fell upon someone in the audience. A flicker of suspicion crossed my mind. The camera panned down, landing on a familiar face, Yang Zhini. What is she doing here? Before I could even process it, I saw Lu Kai step off the stage and personally place the medal around Yang Zhini's neck. A storm of emotions churned within me. He said it clearly. Once he won the medal, he would give it to the person he loved most. Back then, I was certain he meant me. My hands clenched the wheelchair's armrests, my eyes fixed on the two beaming faces on the TV screen, my breath coming in short gasps. Lu Kai, you've really outdone yourself this time. I couldn't wait to confront him, but on my way to the airport, I got the news that he'd been in a car accident. He and Yang Zhini died on the spot. While sorting through Lu Kai's belongings, I found a phone that documented his sweet romance with Yang Zhini. their love was like a tidal wave, and I was just an outsider looking in. Let's be clear, I am Luke Kai's lawful and rightful wife. In that instant, my hands and feet turned to ice. On the day of the funeral, I forced myself to greet the guests. Never exposing his relationship with Yongzheni in the public eye, he remained the figure skating champion who adored his wife, and people mourned his passing, lamenting that the heavens had envied his talent. Then, a man burst in for no apparent reason. He pointed a knife at me, his eyes filled with hatred. You deserve to die. If you hadn't used your life-saving favor to trap Luke Kai, those two lovers wouldn't have been driven to a double suicide, and my sister would still be alive. An excruciating pain in my abdomen robbed me of any words to defend myself. Wronged and helpless, I collapsed to the ground. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself standing right outside Luke Kai's house. I looked down at my perfectly intact legs and snapped back to reality in an instant. I turned around without hesitation and flung the pair of men's figure skates I was holding into the trash bin with disgust. From behind the door came the sound of Luke Kai's father beating and scolding him. If you dare learn this useless nonsense, I'll disown you as my son. Get out, mister. Lou barked the order. I sneered, the last trace of pity I'd felt for Luke Kai in my past life gone from my eyes. In my previous life, I had come specifically to give Luke Kai the figure skates he wanted most, hoping to put in a good word for him in front of his father, but back then, he only felt humiliated, accusing me of deliberately trying to make a fool of him. Fine, he got his wish. I'm done meddling in his affairs, too. The next day, at the figure skating training camp, I heard my teammates whispering around me. Looking up, I saw Luke Kai walk into the training rink, his hand covering his face. The slap mark on his face was jarringly obvious. Even though he tried his best to cover it, you could still catch a glimpse. Looks like he got a pretty rough lesson last night, since coming back to life. This is the first time I've laid eyes on Luke Kai. He still had that same arrogant, untouchable air about him. His team jacket was slung over his shoulders with a careless, almost defiant, swagger. When he sat down beside me, his gaze lingered for a moment before he turned his face away, refusing to look at me. I had a vague sense that his attitude was a bit odd, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. During the theory class, I kept watching him until I noticed his gaze fixed intently on Yongzheni. His eyes were filled with the joy of something lost and found again, even tinged with an indescribable excitement. In this moment, I understood. He had been reborn, too. Perfect. I was just wondering how to get justice for my past self, and he's back. Perhaps even the heavens felt my grievance, granting me this second chance, I suppose. This time, without my interference. It's high time he saw Yongzheni's true colors with his own eyes and realized just how foolish he was in his past life. It was the registration period for a provincial-level singles figure skating competition, and spots were limited. The team eliminated members based on their rankings, and Yongzheni missed out on a spot in the competition because she was at the bottom. With tears in her eyes, she blamed herself, saying, "Why, I tried so hard, but I still can't even compete." Her teammates didn't know how to comfort her, and her friend Xingyan pleaded for her through tears. "Coach, can you make an exception?" Zheni really tried her best. The coach gave Yongzheni a helpless look and said, "I'm sorry, but there are only so many spots available. You'll have to wait for the next opportunity." Yongzheni tried to leave in tears, but Luke Kai stopped her. "Wait," he spoke to me in an almost commanding tone. "Shinchu, give your spot to Zheni." I rubbed my ear, thinking I must be hearing things. "What did you say?" Luke Kai said matter-of-factly, "Your figure skating has always been top tier. This competition is nothing for you. If you give this opportunity to Zheni, you'll have even more time to practice." Hearing that, my heart twisted painfully. I looked up and stared hard at the man I had protected with my life in my past existence. As if I were seeing him for the first time, I thought that in this second life, he would at least feel some remorse toward me, but I was wrong. At his core, he is a heartless man. He knew full well that figure skating was my dream, and he knew I couldn't refuse any of his demands at that moment, yet he did it anyway. "Really, Luke Kai, you're so good to me." Yongzheni looked up instantly, her face lighting up with surprise, watching the two of them lost in their tender moment. I couldn't help but smile wryly to myself. One orders me to give up my spot, the other completely ignores the person who's about to sacrifice it for them. Not even a word of thanks. Honestly, they're a perfect match for each other. A scumbag with a trashy woman. This whole spectacle is truly eye-opening, but this time, they're bound to be disappointed. Nobody's that stupid. As Luke Kai led Yongzheni to the coach to change the name, I spoke up coldly. "Hold on. Who said you could have that spot without my say-so? What do you mean by that?" Luke Kai frowned. Under their astonished and doubtful gazes, I stepped forward and snatched the pen right out of Luke Kai's hand. I then signed my name on the competition roster with a flourish. So, do you get it now? 3. Lu Kai froze for an instant. Yang Zhenyi's smile stiffened on her face, as if she hadn't expected the person who usually orbited around Lu Kai to refuse him this time. Her friend Xingyan accused me. Shenchu, why can't you give Zhenyi a break? Do our teammates mean so little to you? You're really pleased to see Zhenyi get eliminated, aren't you? As she spoke, she glanced at Lu Kai standing nearby, as if a thought had occurred to her, and added mockingly, oh, I get it now. You're not jealous that Lu Kai only has eyes for Zhenyi, are you? Lu Kai frowned, understanding dawning on him. Didn't you want me to be your partner? I'll agree to it. On one condition. You give your spot to Zhenyi. His eyes were full of arrogance, as if partnering with me was beneath him. I wasn't about to indulge his ego. I shot back. Are you out of your mind? You think you're some kind of prize? Who on earth would want to partner with you? With your pathetic skills, you should take a good look at yourself and see if you're even worthy. And Xingyan, since you care so much about young Zhenyi, why didn't you offer to give up your spot earlier? If you were willing to step aside, I'm sure young Zhenyi would be deeply touched, right? Or, if anyone else here is willing, they can step forward. Everyone took a step back. Clearly, when it came to their own interests, no one was willing. The looks directed at Yang Zhenyi grew increasingly complicated. Seeing this, Yang Zhenyi quickly played the victim. I didn't mean to take anyone's spot. I sob. Lu Kai's face instantly darkened when he saw I had made her cry. Shenchu apologized to Zhenyi. I stepped forward and landed a precise punch to Lu Kai's gut. In your dreams, I'd rather give this spot to anyone else than to some useless idiot who can't do a damn thing right. As the words hung in the air, a figure walked in from outside. Seeing my posture, the corner of his mouth quirked up. What's this, Shen? Practicing your drunken fist? It was Qin Yan. He's my arch-rival on the ice. Our figure skating skills are on par. Qin Yan leaned in, studying my face intently for a moment before reaching out to pinch my cheek. I took a step back, annoyed. I'm not the Monkey King. Stop trying to figure out if I'm a fake. Qin Yan slipped his hands into his pockets. It's just, you seem different. I rolled my eyes at him. What's that supposed to mean? Qin Yan leaned against the wall, his probing gaze fixed on my face. You're usually the one who dotes on Lu Kai the most. It's strange that you hit him today, don't you think? Who dotes on him? That's disgusting. As I spoke, I rubbed the goosebumps on my arm, remembering all the foolish things I did for Lu Kai in my past life. I didn't hesitate for a second before turning around and asking the coach to change partners. Wasn't he extremely reluctant to be my partner? Well, this time I'll grant him his wish, even if you're mad at Lu Kai. Do you really have to team up with me? Don't you usually hate me? Qin Yan leaned in close, his curiosity getting the better of him as he whispered near my ear. While changing my shoes, I spared him a quick glance. I don't dislike you. In fact, you're pretty skilled, definitely better than that useless deadweight. Once my skates were on, I reached out and casually slung an arm over his shoulder. Enough talk, let's get to practice. Meanwhile, Lu Kai kept zoning out, and Yang Zhenyi made another mistake. Seeing that Lu Kai paid her no mind, she simply threw her hands up and quit. The coach reprimanded them with a stern face. Some people don't have Shenchu's natural talent, and they don't even put in the effort to practice. They can't even meet the professional standard of a figure skater. And you, Lu Kai, your individual skills are indeed strong. But don't forget, this is a pairs competition. Your team is very likely to be eliminated. I calmly continued my rotation, practicing the quadruple axel jump. After training, I had just entered my residential complex when I ran into Lu Kai, who was squatting by the entrance. A vivid red handprint was stark on his face, and a shattered suitcase lay beside him. It looked like his father had thrown him out of the house. In our past life, Lu's father had always wanted him to study finance and never approved of his figure skating dreams. I was desperate back then, wanting to help him improve and gain recognition, which is why I asked him to be my partner. But now, all I can say is, you had it coming. I tried to walk right past him and head home, but someone grabbed my wrist in a tight grip. Lu Kai stared at me, his eyes brimming with mockery. You must be feeling pretty smug seeing me like this, aren't you? You always show up right when I'm at my lowest. What, do you get a kick out of looking down on me and throwing me a bone? Let me make one thing clear, no matter how much you try to win me over, I will never like you. Listening to his arrogant, self-important rant, I clenched my jaw tighter and tighter. The thought that all my kindness to him in our past life ended up being the very reason he used to blame me sent a surge of fury through me. I violently wrenched my hand away from his. What the hell are you talking about? You're nothing special to look at, but you've sure got some nerve. Take a good look at yourself. What is there to like? You're at the bottom of the class, utterly mediocre. and have the audacity to be both ugly and overconfident. I pulled a small mirror from my pocket and tossed it at him. Why don't you take a good look at yourself? Tisk, the mirror grazed Luke Kai's face, leaving a thin, bleeding scratch in an instant. Seeing the wound on his face, I felt an inexplicable sense of satisfaction. But you're right. I do enjoy seeing you in such a pathetic state. It's a shame I've lost all interest in you now. From now on, even if you were begging on the streets, I wouldn't spare you a glance. An ungrateful wretch like you will never deserve any pity. Luke Kai stared at me in shock, as if he couldn't believe the words had just come out of my mouth. I calmly turned and walked away, leaving him standing there, dumbfounded. The next day, Qin Yan invited me to watch an amateur figure skating competition at Sun City Ice Rink, and I agreed. In my previous life, in order to force Luke Kai to comply, his father cut off all his financial support. Back then, he was working part-time delivering takeout in that area. Luke Kai, who was once held in such high esteem, now faces a customer's complaint. I wonder if he can swallow his pride this time. Before the amateur competition even started, Qin Yan took me to the food street to grab some snacks. I was surprised by how familiar and at ease he seemed with the place. I never would have thought a young master like you would eat this kind of stuff. Qin Yan took a sip of his milk tea and raised an eyebrow. Well, what do you think I should be eating? I thought for a moment. At the very least, something like Tianshan snow lotus, deer antler, melted snow water. The corner of Qin Yan's mouth twitched. You really do have quite the imagination. Oh, right. I heard that shop up ahead is super trendy online. Let's go check it out. I glanced at the time and shook my head. No, I can't. The amateur tournament is about to start. Qin Yan grabbed my wrist. Come on, we're already here. Let's just take a quick look. The match doesn't start for a while yet. It wasn't until I saw Luke Kai in his delivery uniform that I understood Qin Yan's real reason for bringing me here. Luke Kai had just finished delivering an order to the shop next door and was now squatting by the curb to eat his dinner. Just then, a shirtless man suddenly came chasing out, holding a takeout bag. He showed Luke Kai the messy takeout, his face full of displeasure. How am I supposed to eat this? The oil has spilled everywhere. You're going to pay for this. Luke Kai frowned deeply, refusing to yield an inch in his words. This has nothing to do with me. I'm just the delivery guy. If you have a problem, take it up with the boss. Seeing that he offered no apology and was shamelessly shirking responsibility, the shirtless man grew even angrier. With a swift, inverted motion, he dumped the entire takeout order over Luke Kai's head. Pa, what a fucking asshole. The man spat in his direction, then stormed off, cursing under his breath. The steaming noodles still sat atop Luke Kai's head, their broth trickling down his forehead and into his collar. Perhaps it was too hot. A large patch of his neck had flushed red. 5. Your childhood friend looks so pitiful. Aren't you going to comfort him? Qin Yan probed. I watched the disheveled Luke Kai from a distance with a cold gaze and said in a low voice, he got what he deserved. It was clearly his fault. Not only did he refuse to apologize, but he also tried to shift the blame. What a spineless coward. As soon as the words left my mouth, Qin Yan looked up and saw me, his eyes filled with humiliation and shame. It was obvious he had overheard everything I just said. Let's go. Isn't watching the game better than watching this drama? Before leaving, I caught a glimpse of Luke Kai's hands, clenched tightly into fists. He doesn't think I'm going to make fun of him, does he? Honestly, I have zero interest in that. I thought the whole thing was over and done with, but when I got back to the team, I found out someone had filmed that night's incident, turned it into a GIF, and posted it online. They even got the dialogue from that moment down perfectly. The comment section was full of people criticizing Luke Kai. Before long, everyone in the training camp knew that the delivery guy was Luke Kai from our figure skating team. The gossip spread like wildfire. I thought he was some rich kid. Why is he delivering food? He always acts so high and mighty, but look how pathetic he is in this picture. That's not even the point. The point is, I can't stand irresponsible delivery drivers like this. What a disgrace. Qin Yan kept waving his phone in front of my face, so I just snatched it and closed the website. Don't you have anything better to do with your time? He chuckled. I thought you'd want to know about Luke Kai. Who does he think he is? Don't even mention him around me. It's bad luck. Alright. I promise I won't bring him up again. As I turned my head, I suddenly met the gaze of Su Miao, the team's gossip queen. Her gaze swept between me and Qin Yan, and the lecherous grin on her face sent a chill down my spine. There's something going on between you two. Me? What are you talking about? We're just teammates having a normal conversation. Su Miao, do you really think I believe that? I knew something was off from the way Qin Yan looked at you the day you joined the team, all tender and smitten. I don't care. You two have to treat us to a meal now that you're together. I reached up and rubbed my temples, feeling a bit helpless about the situation. In my previous life, Chinyen and I were classmates all through high school and university. During all that time, he never showed the slightest bit of interest in me. In fact, he often went out of his way to give me a hard time. Just thinking about it now still sends a chill down my spine. I'm absolutely certain he'd rather fall for a pig than ever like me. Tired from training, I went to sit and rest on the side when Luke Kai came over on his own. The sight of him now offends my very eyes. What are you, a dog? Did you just follow the scent here? Luke Kai's eyes blazed with fury, refusing to let it go. You got what you wanted. Are you happy now? I was completely baffled, thinking he must be out of his mind. Can you stop snapping at everyone you see? If you're sick, go get help. Don't have a meltdown here. Luke Kai sneered. Stop pretending. You're the one who posted that gif, aren't you, Shinchu? You're as vicious as ever. I was speechless, completely blindsided by this sudden and unfair accusation. Before I could even open my mouth to defend myself, he pressed on. You will go to the broadcast room and apologize to me. Now, he accused me with full force, as if he was convinced I was the culprit. I said in a low, serious voice, I didn't post the gif. I don't have the time to be targeting you every single day. You and Chinyen were both there that night. You're the only one who would do something like this. I let out a bitter laugh. You really know how to pick on the easy target, don't you? Out of all the people coming and going, you just have to fixate on me. Shinchu, if you go to the broadcast room right now and clear things up, I'll let this slide. Otherwise, before he could finish, I grabbed him by the hair and slapped him hard across the face, twice. He was completely dazed. The handprints on his face were perfectly symmetrical, which I found quite satisfying. Let me warn you one more time, the sight of you makes me sick. Keep your distance from me, and don't come near me unless you have to. 6. I took out a wet wipe and wiped my fingers with disgust. Just about to head home, Luke Kai's voice sounded once more. Shinchu, you're back too, aren't you? I stopped in my tracks instantly, turning my head to look at him. That's right, you're only noticing it now. You're really something else. After all these years of marriage, you've been pining for another woman in your heart. Luke Kai, you're really something, aren't you? The national team should be counting their lucky stars to have someone like you. A flicker of guilt crossed his face, and the imposing figure from a moment ago seemed like just a figment of my imagination. I covered my ears and spoke out abruptly. All right, spare me the nonsense. What happened in our past life is over. In this one, you'd better steer clear of me. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Got it? With that, I couldn't be bothered to see his reaction and simply turned and walked away. In the days that followed, Luke Kai, true to form, didn't come to bother me. This is exactly what I wanted. In my past life, not being able to win a gold medal with my own hands was always my regret. In this life, I'm going to train hard, stay away from toxic men, and make it into the national team, day by day. Time passed, and with the holiday break fast approaching, that huge pile of skates in the training camp still hadn't been sorted. The coach asked a few of us to stay behind and oil the roller skates, and I was one of the chosen few. Chinyen walked over and asked with a smile, need any help? To me, his smile was pure schadenfreude. I didn't expect any real help from him. You'd better get going, you live so far out. You'll miss the last bus. I swung the oilcloth in my hand towards his face. Watching his figure recede into the distance, my memory blurred for a moment. I never thought the day would come when Chinyen and I could work together with such perfect. In our previous life, we were always fierce rivals on the competition field. After the skates are polished, they must all be stored together in the isolation room. Unfortunately, after finishing their tasks, everyone else left, leaving only Luke Kai behind. I had no choice but to help him with the final cleanup. Just as we finished packing up our skates and were about to leave, a familiar voice suddenly came from the locker room. Did you see the GIF on the website? Ha ha ha. It's absolutely hilarious. I made it. Luke Kai froze instantly. He knew that voice all too well. It belonged to the person he had loved for 2 lifetimes. There's no one else's voice in the background. She must be on the phone. Ugh. It's all because Luke Kai was always hanging out with Shinchu before. If those two had become partners, what would I have done? Now it's perfect. Luke Kai and I are a team, even if I'm not the best. With him around, we're guaranteed to place decently. Don't worry, I love you the most. He's not even a backup option for me. I have to say, this live-action drama is absolutely riveting. After Luke Kai died in my previous life, many of my former classmates came to see me. One of my female classmates talked to me about Yang Zhini. She hinted at some things Yang Zhini had done, leaving me both shocked and bewildered. Now, I finally understand. To her, Luke Kai was nothing but a stepping stone for her own advancement. It suddenly occurred to me, in their previous life, when the two of them died in that car crash, Netizens were still mourning their relationship. Looking back now, it was just a simple accident. Watching Luke Kai's expression of shock and fury, I felt nothing but pure satisfaction. After 2 lifetimes. Who would have thought he'd turn out to be the biggest joke of all? Before I could even mock him, Luke Kai pushed open the changing room door, and a sharp scream came from inside. Luke Kai, what are you doing here? Came Yang Zhenyi's panicked voice. If I weren't here, how would I know you've been secretly keeping me as a backup? I love you so much. And this is how you repay me. No, you misheard. Yang Zhenyi's voice trembled slightly. I suppose any man in that situation would probably lose his mind. Luke Kai was no exception. Ah, Luke Kai, how dare you hit me? You'll regret this. Hearing the commotion inside, I sneered to myself. Luke Kai, are you really that angry already? The surprise Yang Zhenyi has in store for you is still to come. 07. I couldn't be bothered to watch their little squabble any longer, so I turned and left. Time flew by. And this weekend, my parents were planning another picnic outing. I really don't want to go, because Luke Kai will be there. Luke Kai and I are neighbors. Our families have an agreement to go on picnics together whenever we have time. From childhood until now, no one has ever missed this tradition, so, no matter how much I didn't want to, I still gave in under my parents' watchful eyes. But I never expected some people to have the nerve. You have the nerve to cozy up to me, knowing full well you're in the wrong. Choo-choo, you're here, let's go get some barbecue. As he spoke, Luke Kai reached out to take my hand, but I immediately swatted it away. Get your filthy hands off me. Disgusting. Luke Kai was taken aback for a moment, a slight frown creasing his brow. Shin-chu, I know I misunderstood you before, but there's no need for you to be so harsh. We're friends who grew up together. After all, there's no need to make such a big deal out of it. I let out a bitter, exasperated laugh. If you can't stand my attitude, you're more than welcome to keep your distance. There's no need to put on an act in front of Mom and Dad. Remembering the time he was kicked out of the house, I said sarcastically, or is it that you're afraid I'll tell your dad about it? Is this some kind of seduction attempt? What? Worried about losing face? Hit the nail on the head. Luke Kai's expression darkened. The tone carried an implicit threat. Don't push your luck, Shin-chu. I know you still have feelings for me. Even if you're trying to get my attention, you don't have to keep going this far. As long as you go back to normal, we can still be the best partners. In his eyes, the Shin-chu who used to fawn over him was the real one. The current Shin-chu is just putting on an act. Deep down, he doesn't believe I would actually give up on him. Looks like I've been too lenient with you, letting you have the nerve to act so self-righteous in front of me. I don't mind saying it again. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. Whatever you do is none of my business. Got it, you pink-haired freak. Luke Kai's face instantly drained of all color. Pink-head freak was the nickname his classmates gave him, inspired by that viral gif. Every time someone called him that, he would fly into a rage. This time was no exception. Luke Kai abruptly raised his hand to strike me, but was stopped by his father who had rushed over. Luke Kai, how dare you? Father Lu looked at him with a stern expression. What could Choo-choo have possibly done to make you want to hit her? Uncle Lu and my dad are like brothers, so he always looks out for me, but he's very strict with Luke Kai. If Luke Kai steps even slightly out of line, his dad will punish him. Luke Kai got beaten more times than he could count when he was a kid. A brilliant idea suddenly struck me. I'd figured out a perfect way to deal with Luke Kai. While we were barbecuing, I casually brought up some recent events at school. I spilled the whole story about how Luke Kai had slandered his teammates and embarrassed himself in front of the entire school. Luke Kai's father's face grew darker and darker, while Luke Kai, fishing not far away, remained blissfully unaware of the storm that was about to break. Sure enough, after hearing what I said, Luke Kai's father couldn't even wait until we got home. He summoned Luke Kai right then and there. Luke Kai asked, bewildered, Dad, what's wrong? Smack. Father Lu delivered a fierce slap, stunning everyone. Luke Kai's right cheek was visibly swollen, and he stood there frozen in place. Old Lu, let's talk this through. Why resort to hitting the boy? My father stepped in to mediate. Old Shen, stay out of this. I'm going to teach this ungrateful son of mine a proper lesson today. Lu's father jabbed a finger hard against Luke Kai's forehead, unleashing a torrent of abuse. A few days without supervision, and you're out there disgracing your old man. How did I end up with such a useless son? 8. You said figure skating was your dream. I gave you a chance to prove it, and this is the surprise you give me. You're not that capable, yet you keep causing trouble for me. How dare you bully Choo-choo, right in front of my parents? Luke Kai's father showed him no mercy at all. He tore him apart completely. Watching Luke Kai's pale face, I felt a secret thrill of satisfaction. I added fuel to the fire, saying, Uncle Lu, it's fine, I'm used to it by now. After all, she's the girl he likes. I can understand why he wants to protect her. Upon hearing my words, Uncle Lou flew into a rage, his gaze towards Lu Kai growing even more contemptuous. So you're into girls who play games. How pathetic. Is this what I raised you for, to be someone's backup plan? Lu Kai replied weakly, no, you'd better break up with that girl the moment you get home. If I catch you tangled up with her again, don't blame me for kicking you off the figure skating team for good. Father Lu issued his ultimatum. Lu Kai was forced to choose between his girlfriend and his dream. Which would he pick? Oh, that's right, you were on choo-choo earlier. Apologize to her right now. After all that talking, Father Lu finally remembered I was there. Lu Kai gave me a complicated look and said in a low voice, I'm sorry. I dug a finger in my ear, pretending I hadn't heard a thing. Seeing this, Lu Kai's father barked at him. Did you forget to eat? Speak up. I'm sorry. Seeing the look of humiliation on Lu Kai's face filled me with satisfaction. Alright, I forgive you. Seeing the tension, my dad immediately put his arm around Lu's father and guided him to sit down. Okay, let the kids sort out their own problems. We should just enjoy the food and drinks. Happy now. Lu Kai walked over to me, his expression unreadable. I just rolled my eyes, sidestepped him, and went to roast some corn on the other side. Given his personality from our past life, I knew he wouldn't push his luck after I'd snubbed him like that. To my surprise, he came back a moment later and placed a skewer of grilled squid right into my bowl. I have to admit, in this life or the last, this was the first time Lu Kai had ever done something like this for me on his own. I stared at the squid for a long while, my thoughts slowly drifting away. In my past life, no matter how busy or exhausted I was, I would always have a meal ready and waiting for Lu Kai when he came home. He never once looked at me during a meal, let alone served me any food. He would always leave right after eating, without a single word, as if our home was just a hotel to him. I always thought his coldness towards me was because the team's training schedule was too intense. It wasn't until I was sorting through his belongings and opened a folder named My Little Treasure that I realized just how naive I had been. The photographs of Yongzheni were arranged neatly in chronological order, each one clearly taken with great care. When Lu Kai gave her the gold medal, I was shocked, but not exactly heartbroken. Men, they always have a wandering eye for other women. A little reminder is usually all it takes, but reality hit me like a ton of bricks. After 10 years of marriage, I never imagined that the person I gave my heart to never had a place for me in theirs, not from the very beginning. Even if I were to live another life, and even though I no longer love Lu Kai, my heart still aches uncontrollably whenever I remember it all. After all, I ruined my legs and lost my dreams for him. In the end, it turns out all of this was just my own unrequited affection. What a joke my life is. Since you've forgiven me, let's just consider the past water under the bridge. Lu Kai's voice snapped me back to reality. I tossed the grilled squid aside in irritation and let out a scornful laugh. You actually think I've forgiven you? That was just to save face in front of the elders. Even the police need evidence to make an arrest. But you just point the finger and pin the blame on me with nothing but your words. Lu Kai opened his mouth, but no words came out. Seeing him so dejected, I deliberately taunted him. How does it feel to be stabbed in the back by your one that got away? I thought you two were so in love. Turns out you were just fooling yourself. Lu Kai instinctively retorted. No, Zheni loves me. She's already explained it to me. 9. Some thugs from outside the school were threatening her. She only said that to protect me. His words made me pause for a second, but then it all clicked. Well, birds of a feather flock together. Lu Kai loses all common sense the moment Yongzheni is involved. He heard it with his own ears that day, yet Yongzheni still managed to wrap him around her little finger. Well, if he doesn't care, I can't be bothered to say any more. Then by all means, enjoy yourself. During the humanities class, I was quite taken aback to find Qin Yan sitting next to me again. Did you really pick the same elective as me again? Isn't that a bit too much of a coincidence? Seeing the confusion in my eyes, Qin Yan took the initiative to pull a class schedule from his bag to show me. I compared them, and sure enough, they were identical. He's been following me around for days. I actually started to think he had a crush on me. Turns out I was just reading too much into things. I gave an awkward laugh. You could have said something sooner. You had me overthinking it. My voice trailed off. Qin Yan, unable to hear me clearly, suddenly leaned his ear closer. What did you just say? A wave of minty fragrance washed over me. It was coming from him. I couldn't help but twitch my nose. It smelled rather nice. Just as my mind was wandering, Qin Yan suddenly turned his head, and our eyes met. I didn't quite catch what you just said. Could you repeat that? For a moment, I was too stunned to react. Just staring blankly at his face. You know, Qin Yan is really quite handsome. He has a tall, straight nose, deep-set eyes, and clear, radiant skin, even the mole on the tip of his nose is strangely captivating. Do you think he's good-looking? A soft chuckle sounded, and I answered without thinking, yes, he is. Looking good is one thing, but you've got to read the room. When I finally snapped out of it, I realized all my classmates were staring at me. And the professor at the podium had his eyes fixed on me. After class, I sat at my desk with a heavy sigh, copying down the day's assignment. Chin Yen was resting his head in his hand, and I just couldn't ignore the smirk playing on his lips. Enough already. If you hadn't seduced me with your looks, would I be stuck with this punishment from the professor? I slammed my pen down on the desk and glared at Chin Yen. Answer one question for me, and I mean seriously. And I'll do all the copying for you. Deal? I eyed him suspiciously, sensing an ulterior motive, but the thought of 50 pages of copying made me nod immediately. Chin Yen looked at me earnestly and asked, do you really not like Lu Kai anymore? What a pointless question. I was his fool for so long in my past life. Now that I've been given a second chance, why would I ever go down that same road again? Besides, he's such a jerk. I don't like him. But can you really let go of the bond you've shared since childhood? Chin Yen seemed somewhat skeptical. I continued, everyone makes misjudgments, but once you see the light, there's no turning back. To me now, Lu Kai is nothing more than a stumbling block on my life's path, and I've already stepped over him. After I finished speaking, Chin Yen took my pen and started copying for me, a smile playing on his lips that he couldn't suppress. I don't get it, it's just copying homework. What's there to be so happy about? Time flew by, and before I knew it, the school's preliminary selection competition was upon us. This time, my partner was Chin Yen. The moment I saw the ice skates in my hands, I was instantly transported back to my previous life. While Lu Kai and I were performing a complex spin, something went wrong with his skate. He lost control of his direction and shot toward the rink's barrier at a terrifying speed. Back then, to protect him from harm, I shielded him with my own body, which ultimately resulted in my legs being paralyzed. At the time, everyone blamed Lu Kai, calling him arrogant and overconfident. He failed to properly inspect his skates before taking to the ice, causing irreparable harm to his teammate. Given the severity of his mistake, he should have been banned from the competition, but I, as the victim, provided a letter of forgiveness on his behalf. I was genuinely happy for him when he was able to return to the competition. Yet, he didn't even come to see me once while I was in the hospital. I just thought he was too consumed by guilt to face me. I pulled myself out of my thoughts and glanced at Lu Kai in the distance. I was taken aback when I saw the exact same pair of ice skates on his feet as in our previous life. Is he trying to get himself killed? Perhaps he's trying to find out who was truly responsible for his death in the past life. Just like before, Lu Kai's ice skates were sabotaged. Seeing that he couldn't stop, Yang Zhenu was so frightened that she immediately let go of his hand. Lu Kai was instantly stunned. Without his partner's help, no matter how capable he was, he couldn't overcome the inertia to halt. He instinctively looked at me and cried out for help. This time, I remained unmoved by his plea. In the end, he crashed into the railing, his legs bent at a grotesque angle, and he fell into unconsciousness. In this life, he ultimately became the cripple he had spoken of, a man with disabled legs, forever barred from the world stage. The end. That's all for the first story. Don't go away. The next one is even more thrilling. I've got a handsome merman in captivity. His tears turn into pearls, which fetch a pretty penny. One day, as I was forcing him to cry as usual, a barrage of comments suddenly popped up before my eyes. LMAO. The male lead tried to confess to the girl, but she knocked him out cold. Took him home, bullies him daily, and even sells his tears for cash. Poor guy is really down on his luck. Little sister has no idea that the male lead is actually a prince of the merfolk. If she became his princess, she'd have endless riches and luxury. Yet, she insists on tying him up and beating him every single day, and she always hits the middle of his tail. Does she not know what's there? Just thinking about it makes me hurt for the poor guy. Hey, upstairs commenter. I don't think he's in pain at all. He's clearly enjoying it. If you don't believe me, look. The moment she stops, he actively rubs his tail against her hand. My hand, in the middle of striking his tail, froze. The merman before her still wore an expression of utter shame and indignation, yet he secretly arched his back, offering his tail to her. At that moment, another line of bullet comments drifted across the screen. Can't wait to see the moment when Maybao earns enough money to dump the male lead, and he goes completely feral, bullying her and making her cry every day. Poor Maybao, still completely unaware. 1. I shuddered. How did the livestream comments know I planned to release Bai Xiao back into the sea after selling the last few pearls? Before I could figure it out, Bai Xiao's cool, clear voice rang out. Pearls are a most precious treasure to our merfolk. No matter how you torment me, I will never give them to you. Almost without thinking, I raised my hand again and brought it down hard on the middle of his tail. MMPH. He let out a muffled groan, his slender fingers gripping the edge of the bathtub tightly. His face was flushed crimson, his eyes glistening with moisture, holding back tears. They still looked at me with a defiant expression. Is this all you've got? Trying to make me cry. Give it up. We merfolk don't surrender so easily. The barrage of comments appeared again. The male lead is resorting to reverse psychology now. He obviously loves it when the little sister character hits him. If he didn't, he'd have swatted her away with his tail ages ago. Merfolk are seriously strong. I can confirm. He's literally crying from pleasure, every time. Just to get bullied by the little princess a bit longer, he desperately holds back his tears. Only after he's had his fill of fun does he deign to give the little princess a pearl. TSK, what a scheming merman. My hand froze mid-air. 2. Is he actually enjoying me hitting him like this? Seeing that I had stopped, Bai Xiao subtly arched his back, his tail actively brushing against my hand. I looked down. Your tail. Bai Xiao's stubborn expression nearly cracked as he turned his head away and tightly shut his eyes. You hit it too hard. My tail just sort of twitched back. I listened to his feeble, unconvincing explanation. It was kind of funny. The next second, I saw him peek at me through a barely open slit of an eye. The barrage of comments popped up at just the right moment. The tail bounced back. Ha 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 ha. The male lead couldn't even come up with a decent excuse. The male lead's inner thoughts. Just a quick peek. Why isn't the little cutie continuing the game? Understanding the situation, I deliberately withdrew my hand, feigning a disappointed expression. Fine, if you won't give me the pearl, we'll call it a day. With that, I turned and walked away. Suddenly, a loud crackling sound erupted from behind me. A barrage of comments scrolled before my eyes. Ha, the male lead thought his little sister was abandoning him and started bawling his eyes out. Little sister, look back. It's all your favorite giant pearls. Turning around, she saw Bai Xiao with bloodshot eyes, staring fixedly at the bathtub. Tears streamed down his face like broken strings. They transformed into large pearls, thudding heavily onto the floor. My heart leapt with joy. That's money right there. I was just about to pick them up when the doorbell rang. Bai Xiao's tears dried up instantly, his expression turning as if facing a formidable enemy. The ex is bothering our girl again. The showdown is coming. It's happening. Oh ho. The male lead caught a whiff of that annoying scent again. He's not even crying anymore. That look on his face says it all. It's time to fight. It's go time. 3. I saw the barrage of comments and frowned. I turned back and warned Bai Xiao, stay put and keep quiet. He pressed his lips together tightly. He stared at me for a long moment before reluctantly nodding. I reached out and gave his head an air pat. Good boy. Bai Xiao's face flushed red again. I walked over to answer the door. The moment it opened, Shinshin pushed his way inside. He dropped to his knees with a thud. Su Qing. I know I was wrong. Please take me back, then. A barrage of comments flashed before my eyes. Bullshit, he's a total player. He was still flirting with people online right before coming to see you. Mei Bao, don't you dare soften your heart. When is this guy going to get written off the show? He was pursuing Mei Bao while secretly chasing 5 other girls at the same time, and what's worse, once he got her, he tried every trick to get her into bed. He even told his buddies he wanted to see what an otaku girl tastes like. Disgusting. The barrage was flooded with comments, all condemning Shinshin. I clenched my fist. I'm a comic artist, a bit of a homebody, and don't have many friends. I met Shinshin on a social media app. He kept praising my art. The characters you draw have so much soul. I'd love to connect with you on that level. When we met in person, he was all charm and chivalry, pursuing me with relentless intensity. I was completely smitten with him, but I never expected that less than a week into our relationship. He'd suggestively ask if I wanted to go back to his place. After I turned him down, he got upset and his face turned cold. What's a relationship without sex? You're so old-fashioned and prudish. This isn't going to last. I almost let him talk me into it, almost gave myself over to him. It wasn't until that day, when I saw his phone, for, even after we got together, he was still exchanging flirtatious messages with other women. The screen was filled with baby and kisses. It was sickening to look at, so it turns out, I was just one of the many people he was stringing along. After that day, I broke up with him. He dropped his gentle act and showed his true, ugly colors. Su Qing, are you sure about this? Your social circle is practically non-existent. Who else would even want you if you leave me? I ended up not going to see him for a whole month. And he started to panic, to this day. He still shows up at my place from time to harass me. I stared at the man kneeling and swearing. I promise I'll never chat with other women again. You're the only one I like. My gaze turned colder. Just as I was about to speak, another barrage of comments appeared. Girl, Don't you dare believe a word he says. He's just bitter because he couldn't get you into bed. I saw it too. He was telling his buddies that once he sleeps with the shut-in girl, he'll dump her. He said someone with no spark like her would bore him after one time. A wave of fury washed over me. I shoved him away with all my strength. It's over, Shin-Chen, give it up. If you harass me again, I'm calling the police. But he wouldn't take no for an answer. He grabbed my legs again. His grip was incredibly strong. I couldn't break free. His hands started creeping up my thighs. A look of utter disgust crossed my face, just as I was about to land a solid blow to his head. A sudden noise came from the bathroom. 5. Shin-Chen immediately let go of me, stood up, and peered inside. What was that noise? Do you have someone hidden in here? I kept a straight face. No, that's my new dog. Take another step inside and I'm calling the police. He stopped in his tracks, eyeing me with suspicion. Really? I pushed him away impatiently. Right, so can you get lost now? Seeing this, he tried to win me over by grabbing my hand. Ching-ching, have you made up your mind? Think carefully, this is a one-time offer. I stared at our clasped hands, a wave of disgust rising in my chest, and immediately wrenched mine away. He was just about to speak. From the bathroom, however, came an even more violent commotion. Faintly mixed in was the muffled groan of a man's voice. Shin-Chen's expression changed instantly. Su-Ching, you actually have a man hidden in your house. As he said this, he shook me off and rushed towards the bathroom. 6. A barrage comment floated by. Oh my god, the male lead actually broke out of prison just to duel that scumbag. Ouch, jumping out of the bathtub like that, his tail fin slamming hard onto the floor. That looks painful. My heart aches for the male lead and the little sister. Sis, please don't let that jerk in anymore. Reading the third comment, I feel a bit emotionally drained. Honestly, I didn't want to let Shin-Chen in either. It's just that his pestering is so annoying. If I don't open the door, he'll just keep knocking. He won't stop until the neighbors complain, and he's quite the actor, putting on a show of deep affection in front of everyone. The neighbors were all trying to mediate. Oh, sweetie, this guy seems really good to you. Why are you so set on breaking up? Exactly, and you know what they say. A man's pride is in his knees. He's even gotten down on his knees to beg you to take him back. I can tell he really loves you. You don't find many good men like that these days. Just say yes. Besides, all this commotion is driving me crazy. If you just agreed earlier, none of this fuss would be happening. I was surrounded, and my voice was no match for those aunties, and Shin-Chen was still putting on a show about how much he loved me. But once we stepped inside, he switched faces. Looking smug and triumphant. Su-Ching, I know where you live. If you don't agree to be with me, I'll keep coming around until you're sick of me. That makes me sick. I was supposed to move out next week anyway. With the money from selling the Bai Xiao pearl, I went ahead and bought a place right in the city center. I even picked out a larger bathtub for Bai Xiao. I just didn't expect Shin-Chen to show up again today, before I even had a chance to move it. Now, I watch his back as he walks toward the bathroom. I can't let him find Bai Xiao. If he had seen the mermaid, he probably would have called the police and had Bai Xiao hauled off to a research institute. I rushed forward to stop him, but the disparity in strength between a man and a woman was too great. He shoved me aside forcefully and reached the bathroom door first. 7. The moment the bathroom door opened, Bai Xiao was leaning against the wall. Damp, long hair clung to his body, and a silvery fishtail swayed on the floor. Shin-Chen narrowed his eyes, sizing up Bai Xiao. What is this? I rushed over and shielded Bai Xiao with my body. It's just a mermaid makeup look. A barrage comment suddenly popped up. Holy crap, I just read the scumbag's mind. Su-Ching looks so innocent, but she's even wilder than me. She's actually keeping a man at home and playing mermaid games. Honestly, a threesome wouldn't be so bad. Ugh. Disgusting. I'm gonna be sick. I need a pair of eyes that haven't seen this. This is so vile. Girls, you really need to keep your eyes open when dating. I stared at the barrage of comments, and a wave of intense discomfort washed over me. Then, right in front of us, Shin-Chen actually started unbuttoning his shirt. Su-Ching, you act all prim and proper, but who knew you were such a wild one in private? You're already tainted, so what's the harm in letting me have a touch? Stop pretending, you still want me, don't you? Hearing those words, my blood ran cold with rage. Before I could even lift a hand, a silver fishtail, trailing a spray of water, slammed hard across Shin-Chen's face. Shin-Chen was sent flying like a rag doll, the back of his head thudding thump against the wall. The barrage suddenly exploded. Finally, some satisfaction. I was so tempted to jump into the screen and give that scumbag a whirlwind of slaps. The male lead is so infuriating. This trash is finally getting written off. Bai Xiao braced himself on the ground with one hand. His normally sleek, flowing mermaid tail was now taut as a bow. the edges of its fins gleaming with a cold light. Shin lay convulsing on the ground, a pitiful sight. With trembling hands, he raised his phone. "There's a monster, I need to call the police." Bai Xiao gave a sharp flick of his tail. The entire caudal fin suddenly contracted and transformed into a pair of slender, human legs. The barrage froze for 2 seconds. Then suddenly erupted. Whoa, his fishtail is gone. The male lead's legs are so long, so fair, so long and straight. I'm so jealous. Ah, I'm jealous too. Woo woo. But is it okay for the male lead to force a transformation like this? To the comment above, if I remember correctly, merfolk can only do this during their mating season. Mating season. Oh ho. The plot just leveled up. I didn't have time to read the comments. I grabbed the nearest object and lunged to smash it at Shin. I couldn't let him get a shot of Bai Xiao. My wrist was suddenly seized. Bai Xiao had somehow slipped right behind me, his chest pressed against my back, a damp arm encircling my waist. "Don't look," he said, his voice unnaturally hoarse. A scorching, damp breath hit the back of my ear. Shin suddenly let out a blood-curdling scream. The screen of the phone he was holding was melting, a milky white mucus dripping down between his fingers. A comment drifted eerily across the screen. "Mermaid venom gland secretion, specially for creeps who film without consent." 8. My phone. Shin, curled in the corner, roared with a mangled, corroded right hand. "I'll sue you for assault." Bai Xiao looked at Shin, his blue pupils narrowing into vertical slits. His originally clear, mellow voice was now laced with a beast-like growl. "Forget everything you saw today. Get out." Shin suddenly froze, his gaze gradually growing vacant. He swayed as he stood up and walked toward the door. Once outside, he thoughtfully closed the door behind him. The barrage of comments was scrolling wildly. "Here it comes. Mind control. A forbidden art exclusive to the merfolk royal family. Oh no. The male lead forced his transformation and used forbidden magic. The old fossils in the deep sea are going to sense it." He snuck out. "After all, will he be dragged back by force? Please don't let him get caught." The important plot point I've been waiting for hasn't happened yet. I didn't have time to read the barrage comments carefully. Bai Xiao had gone completely limp in my arms. His entire body was burning hot, and the scales on his waist and abdomen were oozing blood. At the end of his Adonis belt, a translucent webbed membrane flickered in and out of sight. His damp eyelashes brushed against the side of my neck as he whispered, "Water." I half-dragged, half-carried him into the bathtub. And the lower half of his body gradually began to take on the outline of a fish tail again. "Quick, touch the gland behind his ear. That should stabilize his form for a while." But I seem to remember that touching a merperson's gland has some side effects. I know what the side effects are. He. I glanced at the barrage of comments. My hand moved to Bai Xiao's ear, feeling around for the right spot. Bai Xiao let me touch him, a faint blush spreading across his originally pale face. When my finger brushed against that slightly raised, soft scale, he suddenly shuddered. A shimmering blue tail fin shot out from the base of his spine, slamming against the bathtub and sending water splashing everywhere. I was startled by his violent reaction. The corners of his eyes were red, his voice hoarse as he pleaded, "Don't touch." Those beautiful blue eyes were fixed directly on me, glistening with moisture. "If you keep touching me, I might go into heat early." Yet the look in his eyes was undeniably full of longing. 9. So bewitching. I was stunned, my heart skipping a beat. It took me a long moment to snap out of it. A wicked urge to tease him welled up inside me, and I deliberately pressed that spot again with my fingertip. Bai Xiao shuddered once more, his entire face flushing crimson. "Oh my god, the male lead is about to lose it just from the female lead touching his gland. I'm about to lose it too. How can she be so alluring? Is the male lead really a merman? Are we sure he's not an incubus? If just a touch gets such a huge reaction from him, I can't even imagine what will happen when they get more intimate." I stared at the barrage of comments, my face flushing red. I quickly pulled my hand back. Bai Xiao tugged at the hem of my clothes again, his expression turned cold again, though the tips of his ears were still red. "My tail hurts." Her tone was clearly cool and detached, yet it somehow sounded like she was pouting. The barrage of comments went wild along with them. "I'm dying of laughter. The male lead isn't actually in pain at all. He's totally faking it. He's really throwing all dignity out the window to chase after the girl. With a merman's healing ability, that wound would probably be almost gone by next second. Is he acting cute? Damn, I never thought I'd live to see the day the male lead actually whines on purpose. The guy didn't even make a peep when he was shedding his scales." Seeing the barrage of comments, I knew he was faking it. Yet, as if possessed, I still went to get the medicine for him. Bai Xiao obediently draped his tail over the edge of the bathtub. While applying the medicine, I could feel his gaze fixed on me. The barrage quickly translated Bai Xiao's inner thoughts. "Finally beat up my love rival today. So happy." my sweetie looks so adorable tending to my wounds, I just want to kiss her. I still want her to touch my scent gland, her hands are so soft, my hand trembled slightly, and my face grew hot. Once I was done applying it, I looked up. Bai Xiao averted his gaze awkwardly, his Adam's apple bobbing. A smile touched my lips as I gently patted his tail. You did well today, in an instant. Bai Xiao had turned into a steamed lobster again. 10. After that, Shen Chen never bothered me again, but I still decided to move out quickly. I wanted to get Bai Xiao a bigger bathtub. Even though I changed his water every day, he started losing scales. The first time I caught him, he still tried to hide it. Later, when I found out again, he casually placed the scale in my palm. Then, with its sundera air, he turned his head away, avoiding my gaze. My scales are quite valuable too, if you want them. Just take them. I took it, but out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a small, bare patch on his treasured tail fin. Noticing my gaze, Bai Xiao quickly hid his tail behind him. A barrage of comments scrolled by. He's been away from the sea for too long, no wonder he's struggling, but even so, he still wants to stay by her side. He was worried that Mei Bao would think his tail looked ugly without its scales. Last night, he even secretly shed a few tears over losing them. Moreover, the male lead is in his mating season. He's been enduring physical discomfort every night and can barely sleep. Reading this, I frowned. Is Bai Xiao not feeling well? Just as I was about to ask him, a comment scrolled across the screen. No kidding. A merman's mating season drives are intense, day and night, in places our sweetheart can't see. Bet the male lead's hands are calloused by now. The male lead waits until night to take matters into his own hands, so he doesn't wake our girl. But holding back like this isn't sustainable. Even a deep-sea leviathan has to roar eventually. Realizing what his discomfort was, my face flushed with heat, I quickly pretended not to have seen it. That night, I stealthily crept to the bathroom door and gently pressed my ear against it. I could hear Bai Xiao's low, husky voice calling my name over and over. Restrained and controlled, I stood outside the door, my legs growing weak from what I heard. I couldn't help but peer through the crack in the door, and there, from across the room, my gaze met a pair of glistening blue eyes. A comment scrolls by. Mermen have a keen sense of smell. The male lead knew the little sister was watching him all along. Oh ho, catching a whiff of the little sister's scent has got the male lead even more excited. 11. I rushed back to the bedroom in a panic. That faintly flushed face, with its crimson-tinged outer corners of the eyes, and those moist blue eyes fixed on me, it was all too alluring. My own body began to grow warm. In the darkness, I pulled the covers tighter. Soon after, I contacted a moving company. When we moved, Bai Xiao transformed his fishtail into a pair of legs. He took the heavy box right out of my hands. Tall and lanky, Bai Xiao stood there in a white shirt and casual trousers, seeming to glow in the sunlight. The neighbors were stealing glances at him, whispering among themselves. No wonder you weren't interested in that other young man, dear. You've been hiding such a handsome one at home all along. Humph, what's the use of a man being good-looking? He's just a pretty boy. Being able to make money is what really matters. This handsome guy looks like a superstar straight out of a TV drama. If I were 20 years younger, I'd be smitten too. How about giving your auntie an autograph? Bai Xiao coldly avoided their touch and silently moved to stand by my side. I smiled at the neighbors. Sorry, he's a bit shy. Could you please give him some space? A barrage of comments floated before my eyes. The male lead is so cold to everyone else, but with the little sister, all he wants to do is stick to her. When she called him my guy, the male lead must have been secretly over the moon. He already is. If he still had his tail, he'd be wagging it like crazy for her. I tilted my head slightly and caught another glimpse of Bai Xiao's reddened ear tips in my peripheral vision. My heart felt a little fluttery. I suddenly had this strong urge to touch him. 12. Not long after settling into the new place, a message from my editor came through. Hey, will you be able to update your mermaid romance novel on schedule next week? Got it. Good to hear. I had a look, and the reader's response is positive. They just keep complaining that the author is a truck driver. Seeing those 3 tildes, my face flushed with embarrassment. After taking Bai Xiao in, I used him as the inspiration for a new character in my comic. Whenever I was stuck on what to draw, I'd go and pick on Bai Xiao. I'd smack his tail fin to make him cry, and collect the pearls while I was at it. This time, I went to see him again. When Bai Xiao saw me, his expression remained aloof and indifferent. But then, a sudden spark lit up in his eyes. The barrage comments ruthlessly called him out. The male lead is back at it again, putting on his aloof, handsome guy act the moment he sees our girl. He's just pretending to be aloof, but his gaze is practically glued to her. If I remember correctly, isn't there a bathtub scene coming up? I walked closer and lifted Bai Xiao's chin. How about being my model? His eyelashes fluttered, but he gave no reply. I took his silence as consent. My hand rose to trace the bridge of his straight nose, then followed the sharp line of his jaw until it met the prominent curve of his collarbone. His Adam's apple bobbed sharply, and a hoarse voice escaped. "What are you trying to do?" I didn't answer him. Instead, I just placed my hand on his chest. I gave it a squeeze. The texture was nice. Baisha shrank back, displeased. I slapped his tail. "Stop squirming, or you'll get a spanking." He gave a little shudder. The very next second, he started wriggling even more enthusiastically. Even the comment stream was laughing. "Sweetie, that's not a punishment, it's a reward. Does she really not realize how much he enjoys it every time she swats his tail, and he's deliberately disobeying her, just so she'll keep hitting him? What has she turned him into?" A smirk tugged at the corner of my mouth. Of course I knew. Then, I gave another unhurried tap. 13. Baishao clung tightly to the edge of the bathtub, his damp eyes fixed on me. "What are you trying to pull now? Don't think this will make me give you the pearl." MPH, my palm came to rest lightly on his abs, and I even took a moment to feel them carefully. "So, this is what they feel like." The comment section exploded. "Oh my god, I'm so hyped. Why is our girl being so forward today? I want to touch those muscles too. I'm getting all jealous over here. The male lead is gonna lose it. He's totally freaking out." In the end, I made Baishao cry again. The corners of his eyes were unusually red this time. His slender fingers gripped the edge of the bathtub tightly, his gaze meeting mine with a hint of shyness and helplessness. Pearls cascaded onto the floor with a clatter. I carefully gathered them up and put them away. The barrage flashes by. OMG, Maybao is being so forward today. It's making me blush. The male lead is already in his courtship phase. Isn't Maybao worried he won't be able to control himself if she acts like this? Could my favorite scene be arriving early? So excited, can't wait. Before leaving, I gently stroked Baijiao's hair. "Good boy." Baishao stared intently at me. The next second, he grabbed my wrist. He pulled me into the bathtub, his arms wrapped tightly around my waist from behind. I shifted uncomfortably, the embrace tightened, and the sensation became even more pronounced. A low, husky voice, thick with heat, sounded right above my head. "Don't move." I froze. "I think I've gone too far." 14. But after waiting for a long time, Baishao didn't do anything else. He just held me tightly, burying his head in the crook of my neck and nuzzling it incessantly. Only when the temperature had subsided a little did he finally let me go. I ran back to the bedroom. My clothes were soaked, and my body still felt weak. A barrage of comments scrolled past, impassioned. "I got all ready for this, and this is what you show me. What's wrong with the male lead? Is he incapable? If he can't handle it, he should go sit at the kids' table. Let me take over." I covered my burning face with my hands. Damn it, I wasn't expecting anything, not at all. Ever since then, wherever I go, Baishao is always nearby, keeping watch. Sometimes when I look up, I always find myself meeting that pair of blue eyes. I saw a comment in the bullet chat saying, "The male lead has officially entered his courtship phase. Sticking close to the little sister has become pure instinct. The merman has turned into a little shadow puppy, follows the little miss everywhere she goes. When she's busy, he just plays with his own tail. So adorable." Once again, I worked on the comic manuscript late into the night and was so exhausted I just fell asleep right at my desk in the study. When I woke up, a small blanket had been placed over me. Baishao was sitting quietly on the chair beside me. His blue eyes gazed at me softly. After our eyes met, he quickly looked away again. Just the tips of his ears turned red once more. My heart softened inexplicably. He was still sneaking glances at me as I walked him back to the bathroom. Just before the door closed, I caught a glimpse of his desolate expression. During the merfolk's mating season, being separated from his mate is agonizing. The male lead, afraid of scaring her, always endures the entire night alone. Good heavens. Just how much can this man endure? This isn't a merman, it's a ninja turtle. Seeing these barrage comments, I opened the door again. "Can you maintain your human form at night?" His eyelashes fluttered. "Yes." I turned around. "Come here." Baishao was taken aback for a moment, then manifested a pair of slender legs and stepped out of the bathtub. He then fumbled to put on a robe in a fluster. Once in the room, I looked at the only large bed, then at the half-naked, 190 cm tall Adonna standing behind me. I must be out of my mind, even after I climbed into bed. Baishao remained standing rigidly by the bedside. I burrowed under the covers, turned off the light, and patted the edge of the bed. "It's cold, come up and hold me." With that, I closed my eyes. Not long after, a scorching body pressed against me, a firm arm wrapped around my waist. The comment section was going wild, but I was in no mood to care. My own heartbeat felt like it was spiraling out of control. 15. Before I knew it, the spring festival had arrived. The barrage was flooding the screen. When is she finally going to ditch the male lead? It's the new year already, and we've been waiting forever for this payoff. Same, the plot feels so dragged out. A month ago, she should have earned enough to toss him back into the sea. I really want to see the male lead turn dark and whisk her away underwater for some, private time. I pretended not to see it, my face growing slightly warm. Honestly, I've already made more than enough money. It's just that I don't want to let Bai Xiao go. As for all this and that, do you really think I don't want to? I, who had been sharing a bed with Bai Xiao for a month with nothing but sleep between us, wept silently. That evening, amidst a sky full of fireworks, I leaned back on the sofa to watch a movie. I had deliberately chosen The Shape of Water. Even the barrage comments seemed to pick up on the mood. Wow, The Shape of Water, a mermaid romance. Is our girl hinting at something here? That's not a hint, that's a full-on declaration. Too bad the guy wasn't watching the movie at all. He only had eyes for her the whole time. Haha. When the female lead and the fishman embraced tightly in the bathtub in the film, I turned my head. As expected, I met a pair of blue eyes once again. I reached out my hand. Give me your tail. Bai Xiao's Adam's apple bobbed. We merfolk don't just let anyone touch our tails, yet his tail had already obediently settled into my palm. I reached out and touched him. Bai Xiao's body grew hot, his slender fingers digging deep into the sofa cushions. The corners of his eyes flushed red once more. That evening, when it was time to bathe, I walked straight into the bathroom where Bai Xiao was. Towel in hand, he stared at me, stunned. You. Ignoring his expression, I started unbuttoning my clothes. My shower head is broken. Mind if I use yours? The screen flooded with comments. Holy crap, she's making the first move. Ah, she's so bold. I love it. Come on, male lead, make your move. Bai Xiao's face flushed instantly, and he didn't dare look at me. He said flatly, whatever you say. Then, the entire mermaid leaped out of the bathtub, her tail slammed hard onto the floor. My fingers froze on the buttons. All I heard was a muffled grunt from Bai Xiao, and then he hopped away. He even thoughtfully closed the bathroom door for me. Live chat. Damn, does Bai Xiao really need me to abandon him before he'll follow the plot? Early the next morning, I took Bai Xiao to the seaside. 16, sure enough, his eyes turned red. He looked at me with a pitiful expression. Are you abandoning me? The live chat exploded. Ah, it's finally happening. Once little sister collects enough pearls, she'll set the male lead free. Then the male lead's beastly instincts took over. He bullied the poor girl until she was sobbing and whimpering. My face was expressionless, almost as if I were following the script from the barrage of comments. That's right, I've made enough money. I don't need the pearls anymore, and I don't need you either. After saying that, I deliberately turned away, feigning heartlessness, counting silently in my head. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. But there wasn't a single sound from behind me. I turned around, only to see a group of merfolk leap out from the sea. They hoisted Bai Xiao onto their shoulders and vanished into a swirling underwater vortex. Only a few pearls remained on the sand. I was stunned. No, is this how the story goes? Donmu, no way, why now? Of all times, those old fossils from the deep sea are going to drag Bai Xiao back. How did the plot swerve like this? Where's my forced love trope? Before I could finish reading the comments, I was dragged into the sea myself. When I woke up again, I found myself in a palace-like place. Bai Xiao knelt rigidly in the center of the hall, and I was locked in a cage. 17. The mermaid on the throne looked at Bai Xiao with a mixture of frustration and disappointment. You've barely been gone any time at all, and look at the state you're in. You had a perfectly good palace, yet you chose to live in a bathtub in the human world. It's so cramped. How could it possibly be as comfortable as the palace? You chased after her for so long, only to end up getting dumped. In the end, you still needed us to step in and bring her back for you. Bai Xiao knelt on the ground, his lips pressed tightly together. Father, I simply didn't want to force her into doing anything she didn't like, and also, his face took on a shattered, defiant expression. She didn't abandon me, she just doesn't need money right now. When she's short on cash again, she'll come back for me. The mermaid on the throne looked utterly shocked. She was at a loss for words. A barrage of comments flies by. Oh my god, what a simp. The male lead is absolutely smitten. LMAO, the male lead's dad. How did I end up with such a useless son? I stared fixedly at Bai Xiao's retreating figure. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Finding Bai Xiao was actually a complete accident. The day I saw Shen for who he truly was. I drank myself into a stupor. I'd been alone for so long. I was desperately craving companionship. I never imagined that what I thought was a soul connection was just an illusion, a performance by a player. That day, I stumbled my way down to the seashore. They're all the same. No one will ever stay with me forever. It was just like after my parents divorced, when neither of them wanted me. All emotional connections in adulthood are just temporary companionship. I have no family, no friends. There's no one to have my back. That night, I don't remember how long I cried. I turned and saw Bai Xiao sitting on the rocks, his eyes fixed on me. Under the moonlight, he was as beautiful as a painting. He walked towards me. Don't cry. The next time I woke up, I was back home. I was still holding a very large pearl in my hands, and Bai Xiao was in the bathtub. 18. The man on the throne let out a long sigh. It snapped me out of my reverie. Ever since you used that forbidden technique, I've been watching your attempts at courtship. The more I see, the more frustrated I become. Tell me, how did I end up with a son as dense as a block of wood? This potion only works between two people who are truly in love. That's all the help your old man is giving you today. If you still don't get a clue, you might as well renounce being a merman. From then on, you can sit at the turtle's table for meals. The barrage erupted with excited commentary. Wow, what kind of medicine? Is it the kind I'm thinking of? Ha 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 ha. The old man is really worrying himself sick over this. The tortoise. Oh, you're so noble and impressive. Why drag me into this? The moment Bai Zhao's father finished speaking, a strange, medicinal fragrance wafted through the air. His own body began to grow hot. Then, the man gave a dismissive wave, and the cage was opened. His body grew feverishly hot and limp. I practically threw myself into Bai Zhao's arms with desperate longing. Bai Xiao. Hold me. Bai Xiao stiffened for a moment, then picked me up and carried me back to his private chambers. It was so hot. I hooked my arm around his neck and pushed him down onto the bed. His face flushed red as he lay there, yielding and pliant beneath me. His blue eyes gazed at me, glistening with moisture. My hands roamed over his body as I asked, "Where is the merman's?" He couldn't meet my gaze. He was flushed all over, his Adam's apple bobbing frantically, his voice low and hoarse. "Right where you always like to hit, here." Bai Zhao's fingers clutched the sheets tightly, yet he remained still, his eyes fixed on me, glistening with moisture. I leaned down and kissed the nape of his neck. My lips sought out the location of his scent gland. The moment I touched him, his body gave a violent shudder. The next instant, the world spun before my eyes. A voice, hoarse beyond measure, came from above. "I'm sorry. I just couldn't hold back any longer." 19. I finally tainted those clear blue eyes with a different hue. The barrage chat was going wild. "Rejoice, everyone. It's about time. Even though it's all pixelated and we can't see a thing, we finally got a taste. Little sister used to make the male lead cry for pearls. But now she's the one being bullied to tears by him. He 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 he. Merman can go on for 3 days. I can't even imagine what state little sister will be in after that. I don't have much strength left, but the effects of the drug have finally worn off." I was absolutely stunned when I saw the barrage of comments. 3 days. Is it too late to back out now? I had barely crawled a step before Bai Xiao grabbed my ankle and dragged me back. "Darling, don't run away." A flurry of soft kisses rained down behind my ear and across my back. I felt like I was adrift on a small boat, rocking on the vast ocean. In the end, my eyes were red from crying, and I begged for mercy with a hoarse voice. Yet, Bai Zhao's movements showed no sign of slowing down. Bullet comments occasionally scrolled across the screen. Holy crap, the male lead is truly a case of he who does nothing, but when he does, he astonishes the world. Mermen are just built different. The male lead held out for half a year during his mating season, but once it started, he just couldn't hold back anymore. When is this mosaic going to clear up over here? It's been almost 3 days. In these 3 days, I've shed more tears than Bai Xiao did in the half year I bullied him. After it was all over, I woke up. Once again, I met his blue eyes. I gritted my teeth and gave his tail a sharp, hard smack. It lacked any real force, feeling more like a flirtatious tease, his eyes glistening. He took my hand and pressed a kiss to the back of it. "Darling, hit me again." I was so upset, I turned my back on him. I didn't want to talk to him anymore. 20. I lay in the palace for a full day. My legs turned to jelly the moment my feet touched the ground. I needed Bai Xiao to carry me for everything. A day later, I finally regained a bit of my strength. Struggling to get up, I cried out, "I want to go home." Bai Xiao listened, a hint of caution in his eyes. "Am I coming too?" I gave his tail a light swat. "Of course, you're mine now." He was so happy, his fishtail swished back and forth behind him. Before bed, after Bai Xiao had escorted me back to the bedroom, he was about to trot off happily to the bathtub again. I grabbed his arm. "Let's sleep together." He suddenly turned back, ducked inside, and held me tight. But as we held each other, the mood began to shift. The next morning, I couldn't get up again. Clutching the blanket, I wept in silence. A merman in mating season is truly not to be trifled with. 21. Bai Zhao's perspective. Since birth, my clan has warned me, never leave the sea, because there were humans on the shore. if they caught you, something terrible would happen. But when I was little, my curiosity got the better of me, and I secretly swam close to the coastline. I never expected a wave to wash me up onto the sand, leaving me stranded and helpless. Just as I was about to revert to my true form, a little human girl appeared. She scooped me up in her small hands. I thought she had come to capture me, but then, she released me back into the sea. Let's go home. Then, it darted off toward another stranded fish. I only had time to memorize her face and her scent. The second time I snuck out, I saw her again. She's grown a bit, but I can still remember her scent. This time, she was crying. She was asking why her mom and dad didn't want her anymore. I couldn't answer her. Soon, my kin arrived to take me back home. I only had time to leave a single pearl for her, a mermaid's tear. It was the first gift I ever gave her. I hope she won't be sad. After that, she would sometimes come to the shore, muttering her thoughts to the sea. She said to herself, Riley, just talking to the wind. I wanted to tell her that I was listening, too. One night, when I sensed that faint trace of her presence in the deep sea once more, I immediately swam toward the shore. That day, she was drunk, stumbling along unsteadily. Her eyes were red, as if she had been crying. I listened to her complain about her ex, listened to her blame herself for misjudging his character. I listened as she spoke of how lonely she was. A moment before she fell, I transformed into my mermaid form and caught her. I wiped the lingering moisture from the corner of her eye. Don't cry. Yet when she saw me, she smiled. She lifted my chin. Where did a handsome man like you come from? How about coming home with me? My Adam's apple bobbed as I said, okay. Suchin probably always believed that she was the one who knocked me out and took me home, but the truth is, I was the one who carried her home. After laying her in bed, I placed the pearl I found most beautiful in her palm. As for me, I headed to the bathroom and commandeered her bathtub. When she woke up, I put on a rather wooden performance of my newly learned crash for cash scam. Don't think for a second that just because you brought me here, I'll give you my pearls. A mermaid's pearls are worth a fortune. As I said this, I pinched my own tail hard. Tears welled up in my eyes. A pearl fell to the ground. I just wanted to find a reason to stay by her side. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.